Hello, everyone, or I should say, hello, the one. Oh, there are three of you. That's wonderful. So let me know who's here, if you wouldn't mind. And let me know if you can hear me well. It's late night here, and I have neighbors, so I speak rather softly, so I won't wake up anybody on the next door. Jashraj Bahanushhal. Bahanushhal. Bahanushhali. I hope I didn't mess up your name. First of all, let me know your age, gender, where you tuning in from. Then I'll read your question. It says, I left my habit of study and I can't focus anymore. I can't even read a whole page. Give me a solution. But first, age, gender, where you tuning in from. Then tell me what the habit was. I don't know, what does that mean? I left my habit of study. And what is it that distracts you? There must be something that is occupying your mind. And then I can help you. 18 from India. All right, then what is it? Make the question clear, so I don't have to come back and hunt for the answer, for the meaning of it. I can't really know what you mean unless you explain it thoroughly. And Miyamoto is here, says, hi, Mehran, male 18 from India. Thank you very much for that. By the way, Miyamoto, thank you very much for that wonderful thumbnail. I can't use it here because I have to become a member to be able to upload the new logos. And since the the channel doesn't get any support from anybody, we don't have enough finances to spend on advertising or even become a member on a live stream, StreamYard, because they charge after the free kind. And the free kind doesn't let me to upload your beautiful new thumbnail that you sent me. And thank you for that. Miyamoto says, I was reading book to quit porn, in which author says, if you watch porn too much, you'll become gay or LGBT through hypersexualization. This is scary. No, it's bullshit. You won't become gay or change your gender for any of these sort of activities. It's just that what it does, it when you watch it so much, you watch the girl is doing certain things, and in order to feel what you would feel if the girl was doing it to you, you would start feeling what she's feeling. And that's where the brain gets into intrusive thoughts and creates HOCD thoughts. So that's the connection with it, but you don't change your gender. You just have to then realize how to rewire your brain to stop it from these intrusive thoughts, or understand what HOCD thoughts are and how you can help the brain to rewire the brain through plasticity, such as the 4 steps of Dr. Schwartz, that how retrains the brain that has gone rogue in its malfunction in the signaling system and then gets it back to the default setting. And what else it does, it insensitizes you towards women. You start losing respect for women, and you look at every woman out there, you think they're just a bunch of people who are interested to have sex with anybody. In other words, you lose respect for them, and you begin to think that everybody is a porn star. Because that's how your mentality becomes. But keep watching these things, and you see beautiful girls as the actress in that video, and they are submitting to all kinds of things randomly, no questions asked or qualifications required for her. And then you start thinking that, all women, most women, if not all, are like that. And that's just not the good thing to do for these 2 reasons, and plus many other reasons. And Josh Raj says, my question is, how can I focus on my studies again? Yes, I understand that. But first of all, you're male, yeah? Or female? Because I'm sorry, I don't know I can't tell the gender from names of different nationalities because I'm not familiar. So Josh Raj, to me, is not as clear as it is to your countrymen, friends. They know how the language and how the culture is and how the, names are distributed, but I don't. So to me, I still don't know if you're a man or woman from your name. So I appreciate if you say M for male, F for female, and then I would know what your gender is, and then 18, India. Okay, I understand that. Thank you for that. And so your question is, thank you, Josh. So your question is, my question is, he says, how can I focus on my studies again? You see, everybody in the world can focus, but like any other speciality or sports or trait, focusing needs to be trained and practiced, because the power in focus is not in the ability to focus, because everybody, even every creature, every animal, can focus for a certain moment. And most human beings can focus for a short period of time naturally, like without even trying. But the power in focus is not in ability to focus, but it is in ability of holding focus as long as is necessary. Look, let me explain. If you have a magnifying glass and you hold this magnifying glass between a piece of paper and the sun, even if it's in the cold afternoon of winter, you can cause fire on the paper. Why? Because this magnifying glass was focusing the sunbeam onto the paper. But it wouldn't catch fire just because it was focused there. It catches fire because it was kept there long enough and had a duration of focus. So the power is not just in the focus, the power is in how long you can keep focus. And that needs training. So you can train by meditation, learning how to meditate, keep your focus on one topic as long as you want. You can sit down and look at a point and keep thinking about center of that point on the wall in front of you, and then center of that center and center of that center and center and center and center, and keep focusing on the center of the center of the center of the point that you chose, and see how far you can go. When you keep doing this certain minutes every day, after a while, whatever you train your eyes or your mind to pay attention to, it will learn to pay attention to as long as you command it and as long as you need it, until you give it a different mandate or task. Then it will go to focus on another thing. Otherwise, the brain itself is untrained, and it can be focused on this, and before you know it, it's focusing on that, and before you know it, focus on that. That's why most of us, if we are not trained on our brain, we have our bodies here, present in one place, yet our mind is all over the place. Is in last year's party you had, or last year's examination, or last date you had, or certain girl you saw 2 weeks ago, and it's all over the place because it doesn't have a place. Like the body, it has a physical place to be there, and you can recognize where it is. So you got to teach the brain where to focus in the body so the mind and body will be together. That can be done through different kind of meditations. In my book, Me, My Psyche, and I, there's a chapter that talks about the brain needs a home, mind needs a home. And that's where I've discussed how you can keep the mind trained on learning to have a place in the body and be able to know that it's a place for it to reside, to focus, to relax until it is called upon by you, by your awareness, to do a certain task for you. It's like a horse that is on the pasture, running around, doing its own thing, versus a horse that is saddled up, waiting for you to get on it and tell it where to go. The first one, you got to go catch it every time you want to go somewhere. And the second one is ready for you to jump on and go wherever you want to go. And the mind that is not trained is like that horse is running around everywhere. Every time you want to do something, you got to grab it, bring the attention, bring the thoughts and focus it and try to keep it there while it's not trained. It's difficult. But then the other horse is like the mind that is trained and is waiting for you to just jump on and say where to go, what to focus on, which direction to go, and it will do just that. That needs training. And for that, it's not a difficult thing. You can do it with simple things at your home, or you can do it through the meditation that I've talked about on the videos or in my book, or you can learn it from masters in your community, in your own country, or on YouTube. You can find the answers. Anyhow, it's something that you got to train your mind to learn how to stay focused. And having said that, you also have another trick up your sleeve, which is not a trick, which is fact. You got to give a purpose to your studies. You have to know why you're studying. You got to translate the studying part of your life to what this studying will do for your life in the future. For example, translate studying that book, passing the exam, to it will eventually help to put food on table. It would eventually help for you to buy a car. It would eventually help for you maybe to buy a house. And these all will eventually help you to be more popular or attractive to a girl who would want to eventually get married and have a husband who can provide. Because you have studied, you're able to get a job, and the job can give you money. You can put food on the table, buy a car, buy a house, and be able to afford a prettier girl. So when you actually translate why you're studying, beyond the fact that you like that subject or you don't, even if you don't like the subject, give it a meaning, what it is going to do for you, what it is mean to you, and use that usefulness of that topic of study for your future, which motivates you to stay focused. Because you can't stay focused if you don't command to stay focused, you won't be able to learn it, you won't pass the exam, and so on and so forth. It will affect the food on the table and the house and the car and the girlfriend and all that, so on. So give it a purpose, and then you will be more motivated to study and stay focused, because there's a reason that you want to stay focused, not because you just want to get a grade. No, why am I wanting to get a grade? Because I want to be able to help myself to advance, to get a better job when I graduate, and the rest of it, and so on and so forth. All right. And guys, don't forget to promote this channel on your chat lines, social media. Help this channel to grow, because we are having tremendous amount of information here. We're sharing it in over 3,000 videos, and I'm here as much as I can, helping people with no cost to you, to ask your questions. And the least I expect for you guys to do is to promote the channel to your friends and social media style. Do whatever you can. Like, for example, Miyamoto was kind and gracious, sent me a very nice thumbnail that I've been using it on some of the videos that I've uploaded, and yet I can't upload it here because it has a, that feature needs membership, and we still are not having enough funds to do that. However, how you can support this channel is to popularize it, talk about it. If you go on OCD sites, talk about this channel. If you go on breakup sites or somewhere you talk about relationships, talk about this channel and put the link there. So help this channel to grow and get the attention that it deserves. And Miyamoto says, I don't focus on male. I just used to watch girls. Yes, I know. And that's why I said, it's not about focusing on the male, it's about focusing on the girl. But in order to understand how the girl would make you feel, you got to kind of feel what the girl is feeling while she's doing it, and that creates the intrusive thoughts eventually, for, at some point. It could, and especially if in an OCD mind, it just, makes it, contributes to the intrusive thoughts. And says, mind, you see, my mind automatically starts seeing male, and God never said, yeah, okay. It's irrelevant to your gender. It's just that what some porns and some association of the activities there to the brain can cause these sort of intrusive thoughts. Miyamoto says, so less people in life today is what is festival in India, and think most of your viewers are Indians. Yeah. I see. Okay. And HM says, hello, Miran. Hello, HM. 22, Hassan Mail. Yeah, but where? You forgot to let me where, HM, because I don't remember, especially by abbreviation. I sometimes remember where that is coming from or doesn't. So, Hassan, where are you located? And Dub97 says, hey, Miran, Male 26, California, says, I was in your live earlier. You should make a video or explain your experience with HOCD on live and how you overcame it. It gives us HOCD sufferers some hope. Listen, you don't know how many videos I've already discussed every possible aspect of HOCD that I could think of through my research and so on, and experience. So therefore, you have all that what you're looking for on those videos. So just look for them, and all the answers are there. I mean, all the things, and you don't need just my experience and how I moved out. I didn't know half of the stuff or any of the stuff that I know now. Yet I was just old school, hard-headed, strong in my own conviction and knowing who I am, what I prefer, and so on. So it didn't phase me in regards to questioning my gender. But what it did is that it made me feel like, what's wrong with the brain that does these weird things? So for me, it was always about, how can I fix the brain? Because there's something weird about it, because these are not normal to me, you know? So to some people, certain things are, the way they're wired up, and some people, certain things are not normal. And since I was already new and clear on that, I was just trying to search, how can I stop a brain that is malfunctioning in its signaling system and has these intrusive, disgusting thoughts? Of course, disgusting to my gender. For some people, it's not disgusting because their gender is normal to them, as heterosexuality and liking girls and sex with girls and all that is normal for me. So when these things was happening, for me, it was just a question of, what's going on with the brain? What makes the brain to do these things? Because there was no reason for it, and as there's no reason for anybody. But the brain has its own glitches, especially when there is stress involved in life, and maybe there are money issues, there are some things that is in danger, and all these stresses causes more of an alertness of amygdala and overactiveness, and the signaling system all goes haywire because it wants to protect you and alarm you more than is necessary, and then it associates with all kind of things that you're trying to protect, including your gender, including your inclination, and all other things. So it attacks you with all kind of intrusive thoughts, and many of them ends up being the kind that are sexual, because the sexual inclination of every human being is one of the, if not the most important thing to that person. So, and the brain attacks what's most important to you because it thinks it's going to help you to protect it further because of this whole malfunction of the signaling system. All right. HM says, I'm starting to get very sensitive over everything and every situation, even if it's a pathetic situation. How can I overcome this? HM from Saudi. Well, you see, when you say everything, then it to me means everything, such as something goes wrong during the day, where your business somehow doesn't go as it should, if you have a business, or your studies, a simple thing makes you upset or emotional or concerned, or, gives you a reason to throw a fit, or makes you angry or depressed, or some discussion with your friends or with your girlfriend or with your mother or father. All of these means everything, emotionally, physically, but I don't know what exactly you mean. But in general, if that is something that affects everything, and you're tired usually, or you're impatient usually, groggy, you might have to go to your doctor and check for the testosterone level. If your testosterone level is low, which many young people today having low level of testosterone due to the pollutions and all the garbage and pesticides and herbicides and all the processed food and the shit that we end up having to deal with. So you may have to get some TRT, which is a, testosterone replacement therapy, and your doctor can guide you on that and bring that level. Usually, the test comes back, oh, your testosterone level is normal. But this testosterone level set up by the medical um, community or whatnot, these are all based on what they expect it to be, and they consider it as general guideline. But for many people, that guideline is not. For example, for me, I always apparently had a super high testosterone because at age 63, my testosterone was 18.7 or something, which was higher than many young people of the age at age 18 or 20 or 25. That's because of all the shit that you guys have to handle, which we didn't have to. The world was cleaner place. Food was good quality. Pollution was much less. All this plastic and shit that we drink out of wasn't there. So even though I had that high of a testosterone, higher than many young people, it wasn't enough for me. And it wasn't doing it for me because all my life I was super high because of the quality of air, food, and all the things that we were going through. And pretty much when we are much younger, stress level is less, so it was higher testosterone. So if the young people at the time, at their youth, their testosterone is not as high as it should be because of all these elements that I named, therefore that means they might need some kind of enhancement, which should be done through your medical professional doctor and not from the street type of qualities, because you got to know how much, what kind, and the kind that your doctor prescribes would be the bioidentical kind of testosterone, which is not not the artificial kind. It's made out of apparently extract of soy, and it's completely bioidentical. It's just like the one that you make it in your own body. So, having said that, you might want to check it. Otherwise, I don't have enough information to be able to make an assessment or a proper philosophical or logical discussion on that. Josh Rush says, my mind always keeps wandering. I always have a fearful feeling 24/7. I can't focus on present. Help me with chat. Well, help me with that. Well, that is exactly why you need to learn meditation. Meditation, depending on the philosophy of that is behind it, will help you to connect yourself to the nature, to the universe. Once you connect with the universal power, universal energy, and be able to have a conflux between the energy of the universe and your energy, and you actually feel the connection, then you feel so powerful that you have a backing of the nature, backing of the universe. You won't be so frightened anymore for anything, because now you're connected to something that includes the whole. And if you're connected to something that includes the whole, well, then that would be giving you lots of confidence that you're not going to be shivering with every little thought that shows up that causes you certain kind of a fearful emotions. And of course, continuation of your meditation will help you to teach the brain how to focus and stay focused, because that's the key. Focusing is not the key. Staying focused is where the power is. And that can be done through meditation, which is the exercise and training for focusing. So I have that again in a chapter of my book. One moment, guys. Let me just see. Well, that's the book. And I think, let me see, what chapter is it? I think it's called Mind Needs a Home. This book is about, 340, 360 pages. And it's got 66 chapters. And these chapters, you can read them randomly. They're not connected. So whenever you want to have a cup of tea, you just sit down and pick a chapter that's relevant to what you're interested, and you read that. And it's not something you got to read it all at the same time, because it's not one of those books. It's just something for you to ponder. So it's called The Mind, the Calm Mind. So from chapter 31, it's talking about, chapter 30 talks about approaching life one-dimensionally. Chapter 31, Hope in Life. Chapter 32, Meditation. Chapter 33, Our Mind and Meditation. 34, Our Mind Needs a Home. That's the one. 214. Page 214. Chapter 34, Our Mind Needs a Home. And that is pretty elaborate discussion. It's about until page 21, 221. 14 to 21. There's 7 pages. And it's a good reading. So that would explain to you how that works if you choose to. And you can get this ebook ebook version is very cheap. This book is sold on my site for what, $80 as paperback, and shipping is included because it costs like, I don't know, 30, $40 shipping it anywhere in the world. But you can get an ebook. An ebook version is, I don't know, $8 or something like that. So, Stephen is here. Hi, Miran. Hello, Stephen. Stephen Mail 42 Los Angeles. Thank you for that. Come on, guys. Don't forget about the protocol. I need to have that little information. Your gender, age, and where you're tuning in from. Don't you forget it. If I forget it, remind me so I will be reminded so I won't read your question if you don't have that information in. And Dub97 says, so it never made you question or feel confused about his sexuality? No, it never. I was just one of those guys die hard because those such things don't come to our old guys mind, like old school, because we didn't grow up with all these kind of extra information that is unnecessary for everyone to focus on. Now, these topics of homosexuality and all these other things that has come to be talked about is all the time talked about on different mediums and television programs and videos, and too much talk about things that is not necessarily relevant to everybody. It's relevant to some people, and those people can have that discussion according to their needs, to whatever medium it is that would answer the questions or it interests them for that discussion. But I don't understand, why would that be something that should be so much talked about to bring to the attention of every Tom, Dick, and Harry child, grown up, and whatnot, all the time? All of them is like a propaganda, and eventually the brain picks up all these things, and the brain's job is to make thoughts of thoughts with the topics of the world, things that is exposed to, things that it hears, things that it sees, reads, and that's naturally the thing that the brain does. Brain is a thought manufacturing plant. So if there's so much talk about something, that topic becomes an inventory of ingredients for the brain to make thoughts about it. And he finds associations and creates associations and then makes thoughts that it, in most cases, is going to be intrusive and contrary to the values that are in line with different people's values. So not everything is interesting to everybody, and when it's constantly bombarded, but it does create a certain kind of a thought because the brain picks up all these things and makes thoughts with it. That's what it does. But the person gets confused, says, well, because it happens in my screen of my head, it must mean something about me. It doesn't. It's just the brain making thoughts, and happen to be that topic of discussion everywhere. So keeps hearing it and makes thought. That's what it does. Thinks about things and then makes thoughts. So no, for me, it was just something that I grew up thinking, well, some people are like that. I'm not like that. And to me, it was just, why would this brain comes up with these images and things like that? And then I tried to learn how I can actually have the brain to go back to its default setting. And then eventually it did, but it wasn't because I knew the stuff that I know now. I didn't know shit. So it was like muscling it through it, like just saying, how does that work? What does that mean? What is it for? But, it's just nonsense. So that part was already taken care of. I didn't have to convince myself that something is nonsense. It was just annoying to me. So, and the same thing goes for people who are homosexual. They get intrusive thoughts and HOCD, inclination, OCD, about being a heterosexual. So HOCD hits all kinds of people and all genders. It's not just for heterosexual. It's just a glitch of the brain. So regardless of what your inclination is, it can hit you opposite of what you're. And HOCD always hits you opposite of what you are. So in fact, if you were born in an island that you didn't know what your gender is, If there is an HOCD that hits you and your awareness says, hey, what is that doing here? Because it's against your nature and your inclination and your genetic values and your programming, your awareness notices and becomes aware. And when there is an awareness, there's only an awareness when there is a contradiction. And so your awareness feels there's a contradiction between your values and the thought. When that awareness of contradiction shows up, then you can clearly see, even if you were born in an island not knowing what your gender is, you can always be sure that the opposite of what this intrusive thought is, that your awareness has noticed a contradiction between your values and the thought, that's your gender. Because HOCD always hits you with the opposite of what you are. So that was even easier for people to recognize, well, if you have HOCD, that means you're definitely heterosexual. I mean, if you're heterosexual and have a HOCD, that you're aware of some thoughts are not in line with your values, that just tells you you're definitely heterosexual. Because if you were not, it would hit you with the heterosexual thoughts. But it doesn't. Why? Because heterosexual thoughts does not create any contradiction, any awareness. Why it doesn't cause any awareness to you? Because it has no contradiction between the thoughts and your values. So whenever you see this awareness of what is this thought? Why is it here? That means it's not in line with your values. And when it's not in line with your values, you don't have anything to worry about. You just have to say, okay, how can I get this brain to behave as it is designed for my gender? Because it's kind of gone rogue and its signaling system is whacked. So that's what you focus on, not to be confused in any other shape or form, questioning your gender, because that's just not the way it works. All right. Now, Steven says, I have an easy assignment tonight at work, so I can try listening it. Excellent. Now, guys, you know that I have a TikTok channel, and I just uploaded a couple of videos in regards to relationship and breakups. And there's lots of videos on that channel already, and mostly about breakups and relationships and how to move on and so on and so forth. So you might want to check it out on TikTok. Apparently, TikTok is faster in distribution, and I don't see YouTube really distributing my live streams or announcing to my subscribers that I have a live stream on, or my videos. They don't get any exposure. I don't know why. Either my tags are wrong or somehow I'm shadow banned. I don't know what's going on, because look, 27,000 subscribers, 13 years here with the content second to none, 3,000 videos. I've got 5 people here for live stream. So either I'm doing something wrong, or YouTube doesn't simply like to shine a good light on my channel by announcing my programs and so on. So having said that, TikTok seems to be a little bit quicker in letting it spread and not interfering with my channel as much as I suspect it is not being favored. For what? I don't know. we're helping people here with amazing quality of contents. Steven says, 2 nights ago, my mom had to take her older husky to be put on. Oh, that's not good. Oh, sorry to hear that. It says he had cancer. Oh, it was around 3 a.m. and she went with my brother. I feel guilty for not going, so I could have been there with him. Well, I'm sure if you could have gone, you would have. You were either at work or needed to sleep, so stop blaming yourself. And says, I said my goodbyes before she took him, but should have went with. I guess I was bothered and didn't want to see it happen. Yeah, I know. I understand that. And somewhat I'm like that too. I kind of escape from wanting to see things that I don't want to see if I don't have to, if I can get away with it. Whether it's our pets or it's loved ones, I just feel if I don't see it, it will not happen. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm also very emotional in those scenes. I mean, Jesus. I mean, every God forbid, it's just, but it's something that is inevitable, I guess, in all our cases. You know, when our little bird was about to be put down, my son, myself, my ex-wife, we were all there, and it was just a sad moment. I mean, it was like seeing a life being ended, and it was just amazingly a torture and just hard to allow that. And it was a terrible thing that one has to go through. And when it comes to be any member of the family, it's even worse. I mean, but it was pretty much just as hard, because when you love something, it doesn't matter if it's a bird or a dog or a horse or a loved one. You love is love. And God forbid, I see my mother every day, and every day I'm saddened when I see her, while I'm happy to be there. But the thought of mom being alone there, and the thought of that she smiles with her innocent face. When I leave and say, see you tomorrow, mom, I love you, it's like everyday emotional, and everyday sadness, everyday feel of guilt, because you can't do any better. You can't help her. You can't, she's fine, but she's confined to the wheelchair, and her memory is going, and you can't do anything. You feel helpless and all that. It's a pain every day. And usually I run after that to the gym and try to do things and change my mood, because it's hard to see your loved one being alone or suffering or going downhill in a way, and you can't do anything, and you're used to think that you can solve things, you can fix things. So there's certain things you can't when it comes to such events, and it's or going toward that direction. It just, it's not easy. So that's why, sometimes feels like if I don't see it, it's a selfish thought, but you feel guilty no matter what you're doing. If you're in the gym, you feel guilty. If you're going for dinner, you feel guilty. Mom is there, you're having fun. And all these things are part of life, I guess. And I think it all comes from, I think of myself, or people think of themselves who are like me too much, like if they have too much authority, or if they have power, they're bigger than what they are, as if they expect themselves to be able to solve such things, which is pretty much out of our reach. But yet we're arrogant enough to think that we can do something, so we feel guilty. Why am I not doing something? Well, there's nothing I can do. And that's why I say I understand. So sometimes if you can get away with it, you get away with it. And you don't see your pet to be put down. And Steven says, I have so much in my life to be grateful and happy for. I just need to learn to not be lonely and worrying about the future. You need to really sit down with yourself over a cup of tea, maybe, and think what you're doing to yourself, with all the blessings that you have and all the little things that you can use them to be happy with. You're miserable for no reason, or you're worried about for what? The most useless thing you're worried about. I mean, a relationship. So I won't be alone. But Jesus, you're like 43 or 44 years old. This is very young to start thinking that you'd be alone. When you get my age, you can start thinking, well, what the fuck if I'm going to be alone when I'm like 75 or 80? Nobody's going to look at me then. So then you can maybe think about these sort of things. Even I don't give a shit now. I'll never give a shit, while it will be, of course, a concern if I would be alone by then. But you have to keep your standards and you have to look for a good selection. And when you find it, then you will deal with it. You will take care of it. But you can't be thinking it won't happen because it hasn't happened yet. And you conclude that because I don't have someone now, then I will never have. That's negative thinking. That's like, shooting yourself in the balls. I mean, the footballs with the same thing. Shooting yourself. What for? Why would you think that way? You think if you think this way, the universe will be kind to you because you thought of this way, and you're weak and you're a pussy, and therefore it's going to bestow upon you a companion that you would love, and she would love you and cherish you. Just stop this. Stop being a pussy. Stop being like this and command your happiness as far as your finding a companion and a girlfriend is concerned. Command it. Like, keep your ears and eyes open, and if there is a certain kind of image you gotta, have, such as not caring, then they'll be attracted to you. But if you give this vibe that you're desperate, that you're worried about being alone at age 44, fuck you, then you will be, because everybody's gonna feel it. And you're kind of giving away the whole the whole secret. So stop this business of worrying. Worry about your food, which you have it. Worry about your home, which you have it. Worry about your job, which you have it. All these are there, and you're worried about some one fucking thing, which is just a fragment of the life that is abundant, especially at your age. So stop it. Stop that, otherwise I'll come with the ugly stick and beat you on the head. Yeah, Miyamoto, don't give a shit about that. These are all thoughts. There's no reality to anything. Just because you thought of it, or you bought into some bullshit that your friends joked about or whatnot, and a thought of certain kind showed up, that doesn't mean that thought has any power. It's just a fucking thought. Let the thoughts be. But by knowing that none of them have any power to change anything in you, then you won't give a shit how many times they show up. And let them show up. Big fucking deal. You give it too much value. Lovely Lily is here. Says, hello, Miran. I am Sadaf. Oh, okay. So you're Sadaf using Lovely Lily's. I remember Lovely Lily had a different name, and I suggested it. I said, what the fuck is this name? That's not becoming of you and your character. You got to change it to something like Lovely Lily. And she did. And I bet you she can see the power of it and the energy of it, rather than some kind of a negative name she had used. So anyhow, and it says, I'm Sadaf, 35 years of age, from Pakistan, and sometimes I feel I have two brains in my mind. You do. Is this hemisphere and this hemisphere. And Dr. Sperry actually cut the corpus callosum, the fiber bundle that connects the two hemispheres, to see if he can cure epilepsy. And of course, when he cut the fiber bundle and separated the two hemispheres, then epilepsy did not get a chance to go through the whole brain and affect the whole brain, because its connection to the other hemisphere was cut. And it was actually very helpful in treating. They cut the corpus callosum, the fiber bundle, and call it, I think it's called corpus callosotomy, something like that. And so that experiment was quite interesting. The interesting part was that not even it helped the epilepsy, but it also showed that even though when they separated two hemispheres, without the hemispheres actually being connected, there was pretty much no change in the person's behavior and function. Which means the brain is not actually the ultimate power that runs everything. There's something above it that even when you cut the brain in half, it still functions, because it's not the brain that is doing the functioning, is something else that commanding the brain is like a Wi-Fi system, and it makes the brain do what it does, which is very interesting, which comes back to you're not the brain and brain is not you. Therefore, the thoughts of the brain is not you and you're not the thoughts of the brain. So you're two separate systems. So whatever brain suggests is all bullshit. It's got nothing to do with you, your inclination, gender, changing you and all that. It's just a malfunction in the signaling system. But anyhow, that experience of Dr. Sperry was very interesting to show that even when you cut the brain, unless you do certain kind of a Nobel Prize winning type of research and experiment, you cannot see any changes in the function of the brain or that person. Maybe some subtle differences, but very, very difficult to even monitor it. You got to do, again, the Nobel type of kind of a research to see those subtle differences. So, having said that, and says, I feel I have two brains in my mind when I working, walking, talking, taking a bath, like my other mind said how I am doing that. Stop this. Sadaf, I need to understand it better. Use better sentences for me to follow what you're saying. Are you saying, what are you saying? You're saying that I feel I have two brain when I'm working or walking or talking or taking a bath, like my other mind says, how am I doing that? Stop this. Okay, I don't follow here. But I continue to work. Oh, I see. One thought. It's a thought that is actually making a comment on what you're doing. It's the same brain. It's not two brain, because there's only one thought at a time. You won't have two thoughts on the same moment. So one thought that shows up is from the same brain and is commenting on what you're doing, and the intrusive thoughts or some thoughts that is against your preference is telling you don't do what you think you should be doing, like don't walk or don't take a bath or I don't know, don't work or something like that. Yeah, is that what you're saying? This is says I keep continue to work, but somehow that's frightens me. Like maybe someday it occupied me and makes me crazy. No, it doesn't. It's just the intrusive thought, OCD, that continuously stays there, and instead of being dissipating after a thought shows up, it's just a malfunction of the signaling system in the striatum, in the lever caudate nucleus that is supposed to shut down intrusive thoughts. And when it's malfunctioning, it doesn't do its job. So the thoughts, intrusive thoughts, and these suggestions that when they show up, usually they show up and you say, oh, what is that? And the caudate nucleus shuts it off and it dissipates, goes away. But when it's malfunctioning, it shows up and it doesn't go away. And you think, oh, maybe because it didn't go away, so maybe it means something. Maybe it's got power over me. Maybe it's going to make me go crazy. Maybe it's going to stay forever. No, it's got nothing to do with any of that. You just have to understand what it is and you won't be scared of it. And then you got to help the brain to rewire itself, so get the caudate nucleus working again to the default setting, and it will, provided you know what to do and so on and so forth. So, no, it doesn't make you crazy, hurt anybody. No. I see you. You might have a harm OCD that you think you're going to hurt someone, but these are suggestions of the brain. You will actually never do it, because people like that who actually have certain kind of a thought that they're going to hurt a child when they're babysitting, and actually they're not. They're just intrusive thoughts. They're more careful and caring about the child than anybody else, pretty much, because they're now trying to make sure that that doesn't happen. So the same thing with you. Don't worry about that. Your inner mechanism would not allow you to harm anyone, because you're not of that mentality or actual chemical crazy. It's just the intrusive thought that suggests certain things. And when you understand this is an intrusive thought, then you don't act on it, and you never will act on something that is not in line with your values, which is very clear. Your awareness takes over and allows or doesn't allow certain activities based on your values and your principles. And we have Rolls Royce says, "Hi, Miran. I am female, 28, LA. Welcome." Says, "I moved to LA this year from the East Coast because I wanted to get away and start a new life. I was doing well and made some good friends here in LA." Rolls Royce says, "But I found out this new mutual friend in Los Angeles is friend with people I left at home. I left the hometown. I hated them and wanted to forget about them. And this new friend is friend, so I'm nervous. What should I do?" First of all, this new friend is a friend of some people that you hate back then. Is that what you're saying? Do I understand it right? And why do you have to be friend with this friend who is an associate or knows about those people over there? You have no obligation to be friend with them. It's not a friend that you see at work every day, do you? It's a friend, which means you make a choice to spend time with that friend or not. Are you telling me that this friend who knows the people that you hate back home is among the group of the people that you hang around with, and you have no control getting rid of that friend out of the group or not associating with? Well, in that case, you simply associate with others and just give a cold shoulder to this friend, and that's the end of it. You don't have to associate with this one just because he or she is in the group. So you sound like you're being victimized, as if you don't have a choice or an authority on your own selection of who you interact with, who you don't. But you do. So what makes you be afraid? Afraid of what? You hate some people, okay. Good reason or bad reason, I don't care. You hate some people, great, fine. So what's the fear about it? That somebody that you got friend with knows about the people that you hate. He doesn't know you hate them or not, and even if you did or not, it's irrelevant. You just regulate your own interaction with this new person the way you like. The limit of it is very clear to you. You feel like it, you associate with them. You don't, you don't. And you can just make sure be interacting with them, but not talk about the people that you hate, because you know they could hear it from him, because you don't know his loyalty. And people want to be sweet talkers to other friends and make themselves look important, or I don't know, score some brownie points. So he may end up telling them what you tell him or interact with him in regards to those people that you hate. So keep your conversation to yourself as far as those other people that you hate are concerned, and keep a different type of conversation with this guy, and ignore that any one of these people that you don't like when you're in contact with this new friend. I don't know what else to tell you, because there is nothing here for you to worry about other than the fact that you can disassociate yourself from this guy if he's not part of the group. And if he's a part of the group, then limit your association with him when you are in that group or her. And that's it. What's there to be afraid of? You know? This is from a, okay. So what should I do? I don't want that new Los Angeles friend to hear anything from my past and share with this new group of friends. I worked so hard to bring a new image and make new group of friends. Well, uh, I wonder if you may want to make an appointment with me on Skype and go on my site, mind@sixtruth.com, make an appointment, and then we'll talk about it in detail, because I really don't know what you're bothered by, you're afraid, what kind of a background is it that you're talking about, what kind of a past you're talking about, what kind of a person this one is as far as its relationship with those people back then. But again, regardless of what it is, you can simply, this guy doesn't know that you know those people back there, do you? So what is it that you think he found you as a friend, he made friend with you, and now he's gonna call somebody out where you come from and say, look, I found this friend, do you know her? I'm not sure if that would happen. And even if it does, who gives a fuck? Whether you had a past or not, who gives a fuck? Who's this guy that is going to control, or those people that you hate could control the quality of your life just because this guy is going to find out something that you don't want anybody to find out about your past? What are you talking about? Who gives a shit about these people? There are enough nosy people around. If you want to worry about who knows about something about you, who doesn't, well, Jesus. There's so many things on internet and Instagrams and this and that, and people may or may not know about, but nobody's sitting there focusing on your life or your past or whatnot that you're worried about. And even if they know, so what happens? But what is he going to do? Tell people that you, I don't know, were into, robbing banks or whatever the hell it might be. Who gives a shit? You live your life. If they have any meaning in their life, they would mind their own business. If they don't, then you know that they're just pieces of scums and you stay away from them. No problems. LA is big. You can, push comes to shove, which I don't think so. You just, blowing things out of proportion for no reason. You have no evidence of anything. You're just creating fear for yourself by comparing what could be happening in the future, and you don't even know it could ever happen or not. You're just making judgments and scaring the shit out of yourself for nobody. And what are you scared about? What? Image? No harm will come to you whether they know it or not. You're master of your own life. You call the shots. You go where you want to go. You meet who you want to meet. These guys don't measure up, you dump them. Another group. No big deal. That's as far as I can tell. But anyhow, you're welcome to make an appointment. We'll chat in detail. Dub97 says, we are here for you, Mehran. I've lost my grandpa 2 years ago, who raised me. It was hard on me and my family, but we will see them again when that time comes. No pain, no more suffering, just peace. Thank you, dear. I appreciate that. Very kind and sweet of you. Now, Dub, nice, yeah, California. Okay. Well, thank you again for kind and warm thoughts. You see, we are diminishing in number. We started at 3. We're ending at 3. So we are 1 hour and 3 minutes. So I think perhaps it's time for me to end the live stream and go back to watch Star Trek and have some munchies and a good tea. So it's time for me to say, don't forget to promote the channel. Don't forget to give exposure to the channel so we can reach people and help more people. But it's time for me to say, I love you all. Thank you very much for being here, giving me the opportunity to share a thing or two with you. I look forward to our next live stream. In the meantime, be good to yourself and to the others. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Subscribe on my channel, visit my channel, and go through the videos that you might be interested in. Mind@seekstruth.com, making it one step away to talk to me one-on-one on Skype and discuss what's concerning you. I'll talk to you soon.